Hello everyone, this is the second video of the video series most important topic in Java, and we are going to start with constructor in this video. So let's begin. Now what is a constructor? First of all, let's see that some of the most important points about constructor, that it has the same name as class. Whatever will be the name of the class, with the same name we define our constructor also. It will have no return type. Why? Because the use of the constructor is to initialize an object. Now here many people get confused when it is asked that what is the use of constructor. They say that it is used to create an object, which is wrong. Constructor is never used to create an object. We have seen in our previous video that in order to create an object, new keyword is used. This is the syntax for making an object. You create the object with the help of this new keyword. So constructor is never used to create an object, it is used to initialize an object. Initialize means you will provide the value to the object through the constructor. Okay, whatever values you are accessing through an object, you will initialize them, you will provide values to them through the constructor. So since the constructor is not returning anything, it has no return type. It is simply initializing an object. Okay, it is simply initializing the object and it is not returning anything. That's why it doesn't have any return type. If it would have been returning some integer, some string, or any any value which had some data type, then it would have had the return type. But since it is not returning anything, it is simply initializing the values to the variables of an object. That is the reason it doesn't have any return type. And the modifiers that can be used with a constructor are public, protected, and private. Now let's understand that what is the need of the constructor in detail. So you see this example here. We have two variables, name and ID. Suppose, imagine that we have certain employees, say 10 employees, and we want to store the objects of those employees, right? Here I have just taken two. I have taken a short example to show you. I have to store the name and ID of, suppose, E1 and E2 employee. Right? In this program, in this example, we are simply creating the two objects, okay, E1 and E2, and we are printing the variables through them. We are printing name and ID of E1, and we are printing the name and ID of E2. But since you have not initialized these variables with any value, the default values of the variables will get printed. Okay, so we can just see by running this what will be the output. Here I have this Eclipse and I'll run this quickly. It is taking some time. Yeah, see this. It will print the default values. We have seen that the default values for string is null and for ID it is 0. So if you are not providing any value to the instance variable and you are simply storing them with the, means you are simply creating the objects, then what is going to happen is that all the objects are going to have the same default values, and this is not considered as a good programming practice. Means all the objects having the same values of the variables is not considered as a good practice. Okay, so now we try to, let's take another example where I have initialized the values. Like name, it is the same program, it's just that now I have initialized the two variables. I have provided the name as Nikki and I have provided the ID as 101. Now I have created the object E1 and E2, and through them I am again printing the name and ID of the two objects. But see, since you have provided a name here and this ID, again if you run this program, okay, run this program, then you see for both the objects will get Nikki and 101, because name and ID both have the values Nikki and 101. So if you are printing through any object E1, E2, or if you even create more objects E3, E4, all of them are going to have the same value, these two same values, because we have initialized these variables with these values in the starting. But in a company, two people can have the same name but they can never have the same IDs. All the people in a company, they have unique ID. Okay, so more than one employees cannot have the same ID, or more than 2 or 3 employees cannot have the same name. So you need to store the name and ID of each and every employee separately, right? So from there we come to our third example. In the third example, we have used the constructor. So from this we have come to know that why we use the constructor. Now see, this is a constructor here. Whatever properties I have told, it has the same name as that of my class. Class is employee and the constructor has this name employee. Okay, and it has no return type. So this is a constructor. So you see, even in a simple program like the first example that we have seen, even in a simple program we have this constructor here, and this is known as a default constructor. We will see the types of constructor, out of which default constructor is also there. The default constructor is basically initialized by the compiler, and the default constructor initialized by the compiler is nothing else but this. In the object creation line, when we write this new employee braces semicolon, so this employee braces semicolon is nothing but the default constructor. And what does the default constructor do? The default constructor simply initializes the variables with their default values. Here we have types of constructor in which there is the default constructor. It is generated by the compiler, and this constructor initializes all the objects created with their default values. Okay, so if we are not creating a constructor by ourselves, okay, if we are creating this object and this constructor we are writing here, this is not a user defined constructor. By this object creation line itself, this default constructor gets created, but it is actually generated by the compiler. We do write this, means we write this in the program, but by writing this we are making the compiler to generate the default constructor, which is nothing but this employee braces semicolon. This is a default constructor, right? So what will it do? It will initialize these variables with the default values. That is the reason that when we had run this program, okay, so we got the values for E1 and E2. For E1 and E2, the values of name and ID were null and 0 because of this default constructor only. Because if you are not initializing the variables by yourself, then when we are creating this object creation, when we are writing this object creation line, the compiler is going to generate the default constructor using this, and This default constructor is going to initialize these two variables with their default values, but that is not considered as a good practice, that I have already told you. Okay, now the second type of constructor is your no argument or user defined constructor. Now this is not a default constructor which the compiler generate, but it is created by us. We separately create a constructor like this. And as I have told you, it has the same name as that of the class and it has no return type. Now in this constructor you can use it to print any message, like here I am printing user defined constructor, and it is no argument because I am not providing any parameters, I am not providing any argument within the braces. Okay, if we are going to execute this program, right, so what is the result that we'll get? Let's see that. Run this. See, since you are calling two objects, means since you have made two objects, so now this employee braces is no more a, since you have created this employee constructor here, now this employee braces is not a default constructor but a user defined constructor. So as soon as you write this employee braces semicolon, this constructor is getting called. Earlier what was happening? Earlier this employee constructor was not there. So when you were writing the object creation line, right? So then when you were writing the object creation line, what was happening was, like this constructor, means when the call was, when you were writing employee braces semicolon, since this user defined constructor was not there, that's why what was happening, wait, I'll tell you in this. See, if we don't have this, right, so when we are writing this object creation line and when we are writing this employee braces semicolon, so a call gets made to this employee constructor, but since there is no user defined constructor, what will happen? The compiler will generate this constructor and it will assign default values to the variables, right? But if I am making a constructor here, if I am making a user defined constructor here like this, now when this employee constructor gets called here, it is going to call this employee constructor. This employee constructor will get called. Okay, so this is the difference when you yourself are defining a constructor and when you are not defining. See, if you are not defining any constructor, if this is not there, then this employee call will make the compiler to generate the default constructor, and that will initialize the default values. But if we are defining a constructor by ourselves like this, then when this call is made, then the default constructor won't get called. Why? Because now when this call will get made, it will call this constructor. We have already defined a constructor for it, so it is not going to call the default constructor now. But since it is a no argument constructor, we are not providing any argument to it. Simply when this call is made and this constructor is called, simply it is going to print this message which it has printed over here. Okay, since there are two objects and both the objects are calling this constructor, so this constructor gets called 2 times, and 2 times we get our message printed as user defined constructor, right? And then and after that we are printing the name and ID of the two objects. So see, again it will be null and zero because you have created the constructor, but again through this constructor you are not providing any values to name and id. Okay, so on this call this constructor does get called, but since no values are getting, means no values are getting provided. See, what is happening is, like, you do make a call, you have made a call to this constructor, right? But since this constructor is not initializing the variables with any values, therefore it is simply printing this message. So it does get calls and it does prints the message, but since it is not initializing the objects with any values, the default values of the object again get printed. And the third type of constructor, which is the generally used and the mostly used constructor, is the parameterized constructor. Now parameterized constructor is the constructor that we use in all the Java programs. What it does is that when you write this object creation line and when this constructor gets called, we also pass a value to the constructor. Okay, and the data type of that value should be, like here we have int a, so an integer value will be passed. If it would have been string a, then we would have passed some string here. Okay, so according to the what value we are passing, we have this variable here. The data type of the variable should be accordingly, right? So if you are passing 10, then this a will get 10 here. And now I am printing this message parameterized constructor. So what should be the output of this program? Let's see that. If we run this, see, parameterized constructor will be the output. Why only parameterized constructor? Because we are just printing that we are passing the value, we are passing this value 10 to a, but we are not anywhere printing the value of a. We are simply printing this message. So this message was the output. But in case, suppose I have this program where actually I have assigned the values to the variables with means of constructor. So this is the main use of the constructor. Why we use constructor? See here, when I am calling the employee constructor, I am passing the value Nikki and 101 to name and ID. Similarly, I am providing this value Paul and 102 to name and ID. Okay, so whenever there are a lot of objects, means the number of objects is very high. Okay, one program we forgot to see. Let's see that example. See, I told you three cases. One case is when you are not creating any means you are not creating any constructor. So when you write this object creation line, through this employee braces semicolon, when you write, a default constructor is itself created, which is generated by the compiler, and that is going to initialize these variables with their default values, and all object will have those default values for all the variables, which is not a good practice, right? If you are going to initialize these variables in the beginning itself, then for all the objects we'll have the same name and ID, which is not right, because all employees cannot have the same name and ID. So we come to a third approach, where what we do is that as we are creating the object, we initialize the variables for the object then and there. Like I created the object E1 and I initialized the name of E1 as Nikki and the ID of E1 as 101. Similarly, I created the object E2 and I initialized the name of E2 as Paul, and I initialized the ID of E2 as 102. Okay, so this way, now if you are going, if you try to execute this program, then this program, okay, for both the objects, their corresponding the corresponding values of the variables will get printed. But the problem here is that if you have a lot of number of employees, then for every employee, like if you have 10 employees, then for every employee event dot, like you will have to initialize both the variables, okay, event dot name, then event dot id, then for E2 also name and ID, for E3 also name and ID, E4 also name and ID. So that will get very hectic. So there comes to rescue the parameterized constructor. In parameterized constructor, what can we do is that as we are creating the object, at the same time we can initialize the variables also. Means instead of writing event dot name equals to Nikki, event dot ID equals to 101, you can simply, in the same line as you are creating the object, you can initialize it. You can initialize both the all the variables that the object contain by providing them the values. Like Nikki will get assigned to name for E1 and 101 will get assigned to ID for E1. Similarly for E2, Paul will get assigned to name for E2 and 102 to ID for E2. Okay, so if you will now print E1 and E2, again it will print the corresponding names and IDs. Okay, let's see that. So it will print that. So this way, even if we have 10 employees, it will be less hectic as compared to initializing the variables through the object. It will be less hectic than that. In the same line that we are creating the object, in that same line we can provide the values for the variables also. So this is the main use of the constructor. So when you are doing this, when you are initializing the objects through the parameterized constructor, remember that these two values, employee constructor is getting called in this line and Nikki will be passed to this name. Okay, remember that this constructor that you have created, it has the same, the data type of the variables have to be corresponding to the values you are providing. For example, you cannot write like 101 comma Nikki. Okay, you cannot give the values like that. If you do this, if you do this, suppose, so what is going to happen? If you write 101 here and if you write Nikki here, it will give error. Okay, because let's see that here itself, if I remove this and I put it as a second argument and 101 as the first argument. Okay, so it will give a compilation error that constructor employee int string is undefined. Okay, you do not have a constructor which has int first and string afterward. You have a constructor which has string first and int afterwards, right? So therefore, if you are calling any constructor, parameterized constructor, you have to remember that you need to provide it the values corresponding to the data type of the variable. If first you have a string variable, then you should provide the string value first, and then if you have the integer value later, then you should provide that integer value later. Now what is the function of this keyword here? Now this is an important keyword. We will see it in detail in the next videos. Here I will just tell you its main purpose. What is its main purpose in this constructor? That this keyword is used to initialize the current class instance variables. Means this is our current class employee, and its instance variable are name and ID. Okay, so to initialize these variables name and ID, we use this keyword. Okay, so this keyword is used to initialize the instance class, the current class, that is class employee instance variables. It is used to initialize the instance variables of the current class. It is used to initialize here name and ID. Okay, and how we do that? This dot name equals to name, and this dot